You're listening to Video Villa Podcast, episode 24, The Wedding Singer, directed by Frank Coraci and starring good old Adam Sandler.
Oh, yes.
Which I didn't realize how many people were either for Adam Sandler or absolutely not.
I agree. And
I didn't realize that.
It's fine.
So if you're not for him, wait until the next episode.
Well, we finally hit an Adam Sandler movie because we keep on doing kind of classics of our
Yeah,
our
we've done
childhood.
Eddie Murphy. We've done, who else is a big person that we've done?
We did Beetlejuice, obviously.
Michael Keaton was another one. Demi Moore. I feel like she was kind of...
No.
Or not Demi Moore.
Well, we did Demi.
Yeah,
with Ghost.
Yeah.
Well, it's he's in so many movies, so it's finally we found
he's a
him.
real big one.
Yeah, he's got... especially with all the Netflix movies that he makes now.
We did Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, we did Arnold. We did Arnold. We can come do another Arnold episode. But now I
just show up, okay? I don't know who we've even done.
But now we have finally showed up and done a Adam Sandler. And I will say, hands down, I want to start this off right when we get started. This is his probably most underrated movie. It's one of his first actually successful, very successful movies and box office. As far as it was I think the first one to gross over $100 million.
Yeah.
So it was definitely successful. But when people talk about Adam Sandler movies, they don't bring this one up. And this is my favorite as far as when it comes to just standard comedies.
Well, not only that, but he has so many movies that sometimes I forget that they exist. So I was looking over our notes and Logan had noted Mr. Deeds. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I watched that movie a crap ton as a kid, but completely forgot it even exists. And the ones that stay...
Anger Management?
Yeah, the ones that stay on my mind are 50 First Dates, which Drew Barrymore again. The 8 Nights of Christmas, which I've been trying to watch, waiting for them to release it for the Christmas time.
Crazy
8 Nights.
Something like that.
Yeah, I love that one.
8 Crazy Nights. 8 Crazy Nights.
Yeah. So those two stay on the forefront. And then the new one that came out, Hubie Halloween.
All right, y'all. I'm going to say it here and say it first. You've heard it first. What was I don't care. Whatever.
Hey, I don't know where you're going.
I don't know where I'm going to say. Let me just say, I like Hubie Halloween. I like it. I think it's funny. It is. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a good movie. I just saying I like it. It is an awful movie, but for some reason, every time I watch it, I'm almost cry laughing at some of the points.
Thing also is The Wedding Singer then kicked off us going, our cats are fighting under the table. The Wedding Singer kicked off us then watching a bunch of Adam Sandler movies. We started watching 50 First Dates. Oh yeah,
we went down a deep dive.
We watched Waterboy. We watched
we just watched Little Nicky last night.
Yeah, we watched Hubie Halloween a couple weeks ago before we chose to do The Wedding Singer, which I think tipped off doing The Wedding Singer. And has anyone ever seen any interviews where Adam Sandler maybe explains why he always plays very, very close to being a special needs person, if not a special needs person?
It's his comedy. It's his comedy stuff. A lot of the stuff that he does, they originated from his albums, his comedy albums before he got big.
In very few movies does he play an average person.
Well, there's
usually something off about him.
Well, that's the reason why I love Wedding Singer. He is just he's a normal guy.
Yeah.
before this
You're Not Invited to My Bar Mitzvah, which is a new one on Netflix.
That's
he plays
different.
a normal dad.
But that's an Adam Sandler movie, but he's not the main character in that movie. It's his daughters.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, so he plays normal in that. The wedding one that we just watched, the final week or whatever.
2 weeks before or something like that.
Yeah, or the week before.
Yeah,
that one he plays a little nerdy, but there's nothing wrong with him.
No. He definitely plays characters and so forth. Little Nicky's definitely a character. Billy Madison, which. We're going to get to Billy Madison in a second. But Billy Madison, he's playing a character. Happy Gilmore, he's pretty normal, just has the anger issue.
Yeah, same thing with anger management.
Oh, I hate anger management.
He's normal, but he's just a hothead.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but Wedding Singer was the one where he's just like he played a character he had not played before.
Yeah, just a heartbroken character. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like I said, once we get into the movie and start talking about the movie, I mean, there's a lot of things I'm going to say about it when we go to certain scenes and stuff like that. But I mean, I think we should just rip the Band-Aid off first and talk about Billy Madison, how it does not age well at all.
Yeah, if you haven't rewatched it, don't rewatch it. Just
do not rewatch it.
Leave it the way you remember it. Pull it from the memory bank and relive it there.
Just remember the fact that when you were sitting there and the third grade watching it and you were laughing your ass off, just remember those memories. There's no reason. I'm telling you, there's no reason you need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
No reason.
Just leave it how you remember it.
It's bad. It's bad. But the Waterboy, that held up.
Nah, there were some parts where it just straight up annoyed me a little bit.
I don't know, like Vicky Valancourt and Bobby Boucher and all the, you can do it. Like all that.
I think that's the part that people really don't like.
Really?
About Adam Sandler movies is like the noises, the sounds.
Well, but that was the whole you can do it character, and then he showed up in multiple movies.
Yeah.
Oh, another one. Actually, a lot of people don't like this one either, but I think it was,
I feel a cringe coming on.
No.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you should be. It is cringeworthy.
If you're gonna reenact it, it's gonna...
No, That's My Boy. I like that one with Andy Samberg and Adam Sandler. Yeah. I like that one a lot because the funny thing is, like, I like the fact that, like, you thought he was going to be a deadbeat dad, but he's not really. He's kind of a deadbeat, but he really, really loves his son.
Yeah,
and there's just the dumbest shit happens in that movie, and I don't know, you can't help but love the character he's playing, and I think it's hilarious.
Well, also there's so many Easter eggs, golden eggs.
Yeah, Easter eggs. Yeah. I mean, it's the Adamverse basically. The Adam Sandler universe that goes throughout all of his movies, pretty much. But not every single one.
Yeah, I mean, there's little plucks and pieces of different. So, like, I didn't notice it until we watched Little Nicky last night, and when his brother takes over the basketball coach or the referee, whoever it is, that voice is the same old man's voice that plays in 8 Crazy Nights.
Oh, did you? Is it Dana Carvey?
I don't know,
but you look
the
up the
sound
actor?
of it. No, I didn't look up the actor and who plays the voice, but I was just saying the sound of it is pretty spot on.
I'm pretty sure.
BRB, let me.
I think Adam Sandler does the old man's voice in 8 Crazy Nights, but
okay, then does he do the referees? I mean, I don't know if you could.
I mean, I know that's Dana Carvey. That's all I know. But I mean, that's the thing is, like, Adam Sandler, as you all know, I mean, he likes to put his friends in movies.
Oh, yeah.
Like Little Nicky, there's tons of SNL people in that movie as extras or as side characters. Even another movie that you don't think that's in the Adam Sandler universe, but it's So
8 Crazy Nights is a heartfelt and touching yet funny film. The old guy character, which was voiced by Rob Schneider.
Oh, so Rob Schneider voiced. Oh, okay. So
yeah.
Dana Carvey's the actual actor in the movie of Little Nicky.
Oh, well, the voices are spot on. Yeah. If you listen to them, they're spot on.
But yeah, and then 50 First Dates. That is funny because that also introduces the Tommy Boy universe.
Yeah,
and brings that into the Madison verse, which
Madison verse. You mean Adam?
Well, they're Happy Madison films or whatever they're called.
Okay,
I don't know.
We're intertwining things too much.
Well, it is a little confusing because there's so many especially with his deals with Netflix, there's so many movies that are coming out like every year to 2 years, and some of them are okay that are in.
Yeah, but when you're pumping out films like that, you're probably not averaging.
Well, I mean, and also he sticks with the same people. Like, so for example, Frank Coraci, he did Click, Waterboy. That's another one we didn't talk about. The
list of Adam Sandler movies is so long. Again, I forget that they exist.
Yeah.
I forget about Click until I randomly think about it.
I think Click was
Logan doesn't like Click.
I don't like Click, but I understand it is a good movie. I just don't care for it.
Yeah.
But that was like the real one where people were like, no, Adam Sandler's onto something here. I mean, before that he did, I think, Punch Drunk Love, which is a fantastic movie, which was the first time where he actually put on his like real acting skills and
Yeah.
just did not be a character and played played a different than his comic role or whatever, which
Mhm.
is a very good movie. But yeah, and the guy also did Blended, and I mean he did a lot of movies, but he also did Blended. He did The Ridiculous Six, which is his most hated movie.
Mm.
And then the writer, Tim Herlihy, he
Mm.
wrote Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Waterboy, Little Nicky, and then he wrote Hubie
Hubie
Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
It's kind of funny because the movies, the scale goes up, and then within the most current years, they just go down.
Well, yeah, because then I feel like they're just pumping stuff out just to keep the Adam Sandler universe alive or whatever. But yeah, we hit a fork in the road. So we were wondering if we wanted to do The Wedding Singer or if we wanted to do Happy Gilmore. And I was like, let's do Happy Gilmore because I remember watching that movie as a kid. So my Graham had like the little portable DVD player. And she would put it on the center console and use a bungee cord and like strap it to the bungee cord so me and my cousin could watch movies in the back seat. And she had like Anger Management, Happy Gilmore, just tons of those kind of movies. So
yeah, no, I mean,
obviously we chose The Wedding Singer.
well, I mean, I remember
Logan chose The Wedding Singer.
Well, I like Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore. We will eventually do Happy Gilmore because Happy Gilmore does
Unless
hold
it's
up.
tanks, then we won't touch Adam Sandler again.
Well,
that's the truth.
Fingers crossed. I think it will because everyone watches Adam Sandler.
People
movies.
know Adam Sandler. It's a household name.
I just like I said the reason why I want to do this one because no one really. Every time, okay, so when we would talk to people that we were going to do Wedding Singer, and they're like, "Oh, I haven't seen that in forever," because people don't revisit this one, and I think this is the one that you can go back and revisit and be like, "Hey, this movie's good."
It aged well, yeah.
It ages, and I always get in conversations with people, and I'm bringing it up now. Like every time I talk about this movie, I'm like, if you go back and watch this movie portrays the 80s, I think, in the most correct way as far as a movie that was not filmed in the 80s.
Yeah.
I love Stranger Things as much as everyone else does. And I yes, Becca does not like it because it's too scary.
It's not too scary. I just don't like it.
You don't watch it because it's too scary.
No, it's literally not too scary at all. I've watched some of it. I just don't care for it.
Well, I like it.
It's too drawn out.
But anyhow, that show, it's not a real, I don't feel like it really is like the 80s. Like,
no, not at all.
Like, it's too, like, trying to push on being like, let's make it 80s. What happened in the 80s? Now, let's put that in the movie.
Well, that's like how I feel about that 90s show. Still like it. Still enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. But it's supposed to be, like, in the 90s. It definitely feels... And granted, the 90s and the early 2000s kind of blend together anyway. I feel like in certain things. But it still, to me, feels more 2000s than it does 90s.
I guess I can see that.
In some ways. But again, that was very tricky because the 90s very much so bled into the early 2000s in terms of, you know, aesthetic, clothing, the way people acted, stuff like that. So, but that's another one.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, this one hits it on the head. Like, there's, when you go back, like when you watch Stranger Things and they're in the basement playing D&D, okay, the D&D part, I get that. The basement feels right. But there's certain things that he has, like, he has a Thing, John Carpenter's Thing poster on his wall. I'm like, I highly doubt that kid back then would have a John Carpenter's Thing poster in his wall. I mean, there's just certain things that are just very like...
You had a Grindhouse thing on your wall.
That's
you were older then.
That's too... Yeah, I was 17 years old.
But I'm just saying, why couldn't you have a Thing poster?
Well, he's also like, what, 10? It just didn't make... It feels too forced. And also, like, everyone just has... Like, if you watch... like, even, like, Totally Killer... which is a newer movie that's really good, that takes place in the 80s. I liked it. I thought it was really good. But same thing, it's too glamorized. Like, not everyone in high school had the greatest fashion. They didn't all look like they were pulled out of, like, you know, what you think the 80s are.
Yeah.
This movie, people are dressed like they would literally, like people are, like, Sammy walks around wearing shirt. Yeah, no, a guy with that mustache would definitely be wearing that shirt with that mullet in the 80s. I'm
laughing because... This is going to sound so weird where the sentence goes, but just hang on tight. My dad rocked the porn mustache. I hate to call it that because it is my dad. For way too long. Like, it never left the 80s. It went into, like, the early 2000s. Sometimes still now.
I have never seen him with the mustache, like, currently.
Yeah, now that it's turned gray, he either does like the full face and mustache, but never just the mustache. But sometimes he'll rock just the mustache occasionally. But he held on to that thing until like I probably like consistently until my sister got into like high school. I think he gave it one last shot of just keeping it strong.
Well, even like people when they go in people's houses, it looks
We'll put
like
a picture. We'll pause for a second and put a picture of my lovely
if
dad.
I can find a picture,
I'll find it. He's my best friend.
it'll go right here. But like the people's houses, they were decorated. The decoration looks correct. It's the cars, everything looks like real. Like even when he goes in the bank, the way he's dressed in his actual suit he's wearing and how he's like dressed up like someone who normally doesn't wear that. That's like how, you went to court for something like a speeding ticket. That's how you're going to dress or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it looked accurate.
Even like the houses, like,
yeah.
I want to call her Drew Barrymore because that's her name.
Julie.
But yeah, Julie and Holly's house. It's like it's super cute. It's definitely with the times. You got the bright yellow kitchen appliances. Those are my favorite kitchens.
Yeah, it's definitely, like I said, it is. I think it's one of the most accurate depiction of the okay. I was going to bring it up earlier, but I'll just bring it up now. When the scene where the little kid is running around the kitchen and he's like, "I drew a picture of Lisa," and he's wearing the Freddy Krueger magazine.
Yeah,
that Freddy.
You're a bitch.
Yeah, he's wearing a Freddy Krueger mask. That mask is literally a mask from the 1985 Nightmare on Elm Street came out in 84, I believe, and then that I saw an ad online. It was a clipping ad. Turn in so much, so forth, and get the mask and the claw glove, and everything that he's wearing, the claw glove and the mask, is actually based on that year because this movie's made in 1985, and the mask and stuff went for retail in 1985. Like it's like even that stuff, like that is legit. Like I don't know, little details like that I like a lot, and especially like I'm really big like if watching a movie and a soundtrack plays a song that didn't come out during that time frame. I'm like, okay, and it's based in a time frame.
Yeah,
like the most recent movie I watched that did that was The Dark Harvest, and it's based in, I think, 1967 or 64, something like that. But they play a song in the movie that didn't come out until 1977. So I was like, all right.
See, that's where ignorance is bliss.
True, I know. I'm being a little too, like,
I don't know the
picky.
difference, so stuff like that can't ruin a movie.
Oh, it doesn't ruin it. I think about, like,
you get a little snooty.
Get snooty.
That is snooty.
I don't know.
Like, that's not what the time that they're depicting.
I don't go, like, I just talk to you about it, though. That's like,
and everybody.
Well, now I'm just talking to y'all, but before that, I was just like, I would tell it to Becca. It's not like I would go online and be like, this isn't right. That song came out in 1977.
But you think it and you hold on to it.
But that's just for me. That's just for me.
Yeah, you ruin it for yourself.
I guess so.
Ignorance is bliss. I'd have the same commentary had I watched the movie too and you said it. I'd be like, okay, Logan, it doesn't matter. It's not that important.
But if you want to get into we get some stuff and like some little cool things about the movie is, so the script needed a lot of work, and they are uncredited, but Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, and Adam Sandler and Judd Apatow doctored and fixed the script to get it to where it was for the movie. Yeah, and I mean Carrie Fisher's been known for doing that. Has been going under
underwriting almost.
Yeah, and like fixing scripts in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Chris Farley was originally going to be in the film, but during filming, he went into rehab, and unfortunately, within a year or so later, that's when he passed away. But I don't believe it said which character he was going to be. But Adam Sandler, that's his thing. Adam always wanted to put his friends in the movies.
Well, yeah.
And he really wanted Chris Farley to be in it, and unfortunately, because Chris Farley was in he was in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
No, he's in Billy Madison.
And
even like I said, I keep on going back. Even like the commercials, the Dunkin' Donuts commercial they play on the movie. It's just like I said, it does feel like an '80s movie. The movies, the TV shows that people were watching, they make jokes towards like Don Johnson and Miami Vice, because that was when Miami Vice came out, it was freaking big. Like you're talking about big. I don't know, like we don't have anything to compare that to these days. It
Yeah.
was just a different era. And I like it. And that's some of the things like, that's little stuff like that's the icing on the cake when I think this movie is very,
Yeah.
it's very rewatchable.
Yeah. It holds up well.
Holds up. Yeah, it definitely holds up well. 100%. It made me miss did you ever watch the show? I Love the 80s or like I Love the 90s or I Love the 70s on VH1?
Probably.
It was like
I mean, I know we watched VH1.
It was like a 30-minute like segment of a era, like a year in that time, and they would go over all the popular things in that era.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if it would be like 1981,
Yeah.
and they'd do everything that was big in 1981.
Yeah, and they'd play like clips from music videos that were big at the time.
Yeah, and
stuff
movies,
like that. Yeah.
and then like
I know what
you know, like if like I remember one like Henry Rollins was on it when they brought up Zima, which and like it was kind of, because that's pre-Smirnoff Ice and stuff like that. That's technically what it is, but a malt beverage and stuff like that. But like this made me miss that stuff.
Yeah,
those shows were the best. And
what I miss is listening to just MTV music when you first wake up and you be getting ready for school, and they're playing like the music videos and everything.
I remember I came downstairs one time. And my dad was watching, it was when I was in college, and I was getting ready for school. And I came downstairs, and my dad was watching Nicki Minaj's music video for Super Bass.
Oh, God.
Got the boom, 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 boom. I don't know the lyrics.
Your dad just puts anything on that.
Well,
TV.
no, he liked a lot of half-naked women dancing around.
That too.
That were very voluptuous.
But yeah, so I missed that in the mornings. Like I remember I'd be getting ready for school, and if it wasn't cartoons, then we'd have like the MTV music videos playing on our good old tube TV.
Yeah, I mean, watching that, like I put on like MTV2 or Fuse. I'll stop going on side tangents, but so like I was
famous last week.
so growing up, I was big into like I was a goth kid, and then I went into I tried to be a scene kid. I just I couldn't afford to be a scene kid, so I couldn't have all the money for all like the cool scene clothes and like stuff
Me
like
and
that.
Sierra were scene kids for life.
I tried my best with the budget that I had.
She sent me some pictures the other day. I was like, God.
But on Sundays, we had DirecTV. After so long, we were able to actually get satellite TV out to the country, and we had DirecTV. And at that point, it was called All Star. Then it went to DirecTV.
Yeah.
And on Sundays, on Fuse, they had the Victory Records Hour. And I loved it. So Victory Records had a lot of screamo, emo, some metalcore, because metalcore was towards the end of the metal or synthcore towards the end of the 2000, like the later 2000s, whatever. But I used to love watching that. It was just an info commercial, and it would just play music videos of all Victory Records bands.
Yeah.
And I would like, and that was another thing. When you used to buy a Victory Records album, you used to get a sample disc of like 12 different bands that sounded similar to what you were. And I found so many cool new artists that way. And I mean, that was my jam. I loved that. And I thought that was better than anything MTV or MTV2 was putting out at the time.
Yeah.
That little hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm.
There surprisingly wasn't really much background.
Yeah, and
I mean,
I looked as much as I could. I mean, but there's just it's just like I said, like when we did this movie, I was just like, well, I mean, we'll just talk about it. It's a good movie.
It's pretty straightforward, and like in regards to the background, I think it's because Adam Sandler. There's so much background to the whole. I don't want to call it the Adam universe.
The Adam verse. It's the Happy Madison verse. That's what it is.
I don't want to call it any of that. Anyways, this whole brand, because they created a brand for themselves with their series of movies, there isn't really like a whole lot of background to them. I feel like they pump out movies. It's a lot of the same actors. He likes to cast his own friends and family. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't think there was going to be a whole lot of background.
No.
It didn't shock me.
No, it wasn't until you like get into movies like Reign Over Me or like. Some of his deeper cuts, Uncut Gems is great.
Yeah,
great.
I forgot about that one.
That's a great movie.
It's a long list.
Yeah, but what's called like I said, Reign Over Me is really good too. What other really, really good movies? Anyway, back to the movie at hand. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Becca's going to read the back of the DVD. I thought I had the VHS and I couldn't find it anywhere. I could swear I had it.
Bummer.
You don't care.
Yeah, and also Drew Barrymore. I really, really like Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, they've done 3 movies together.
Yeah, she's great. Anyway, so he's back for a Total Rad encore. It's 1985, and Robbie Hart, Adam Sandler, is a wedding singer who can cover the hits, deliver the perfect toast, and even get grandma out on the dance floor. But when Robbie is dumped at his own wedding, he has a total eclipse of the heart. Ba-dum-psh. And becomes the ultimate cynic. It's not until he meets a waitress named Julia Barrymore, and Robbie starts to come around. However, Julia is about to get married herself, and unless Robbie can pull off the performance of a lifetime, the girl of his dreams may be gone forever. And then you just get some like scene clips. Oh, and then this guy is the damn brother in Little Nicky.
No, that's not the not the same. No, Billy Idol's not in Little Nicky. He looks similar.
Oh my god, I forgot that was Billy Idol. They do look similar.
Yeah,
okay,
somewhat.
I'm not losing my mind here.
Somewhat,
the spiky blonde hair.
Yeah.
The black eyeliner. Sorry, Billy Idol.
The funny thing is, like, so when this movie came out, I had the VHS growing up, and it had a 80s karaoke. At the end of the credits, they had an 80s karaoke part.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. So
that's like, was it Shrek has like the Just Dance at the end or something like that? Or is that like karaoke?
There is a sing-along. But like I guess, but this is like this was like it would play the lyrics, and play the music, and it didn't play the audio, and you could just sing
do karaoke.
I thought it was kind of cute, it was kind of funny. But yeah, so we'll get into
so
it.
the movie kicks off with Adam Sandler and his wedding band at a wedding, and you go right into pretty much a best man speech. Which is done by
Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi was
he plays a crazy person all the time.
He's in a lot of his movies. He's even in the Cobbler. Cobbler's actually a good movie too.
Yeah.
But he's in a lot of his movies, and he's been Adam Sandler's friend for like forever. He was in Billy Madison.
It seems like people really do love Adam Sandler.
They say he is just the kindest person.
Yeah.
You know what's called? I mean, like he is just, and that's the thing is like, you know, you got to realize some of these guys that are in his movies, they're not in any other movie.
Yeah.
They're only in his movies. So it's like he's helping his friends out by putting them in his movies. And I would do the same thing. I mean, if I was a director, you bet your ass I'd be calling up Cameron and be like, hey, I got a movie I want you to be in.
Cam, take notes. Write it down.
I mean, I would do the same thing. Hell, I would put my dad in every single movie I made. I would put him in everything because there would I'm
going to sit all of them out. Love you, but no.
No, I've been trying to shoot a commercial for the
Don't ruin it.
I'm not going to ruin it.
Okay.
I'm saying
because in the off chance that I do finally agree.
I've been trying to get her director to do a little skit for the channel, and she won't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe if you ever saw it, I have finally broken her down.
I mean, I'm going to do it because that's what you do when you're supportive, but I don't want to do it. Anyways, so David, who is played by Steve. Right.
Steve Buscemi.
Yeah. He does a best man speech that starts out sweet and then just tanks.
Oh,
just
yeah. He ruins
ripping
it.
his dad a new one, ripping his brother
loaded.
a new one. Yeah, he's trashed.
He comes
it's
in.
rough.
No, he comes in. He ends up Robbie ends up getting him off the stage and whatever.
Yeah.
Because he starts to saying things that he shouldn't be saying. He's talking about when they picked up hookers and prostitutes, where he was never the favorite son or whatever. And he gets off the stage. He comes back on stage and puts on the guitar and he starts playing the guitar. He's the best guitar player ever born. Self-taught. No, thank you for lessons, Dad.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's just something like this little scene is it's hilarious.
And so finally they get him off stage and Adam Sandler. Well, I guess we'll
Adam
just call him
Sandler
Robbie gives it over to his friend George to sing a song. He's going to take a break and kind of get off stage for a little bit. So George sings, "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?"
Yeah.
And While that's going on, Robbie's gone down and he's talking to Sammy, which is his best friend. He's talking about the new waitress that got hired, and Sammy is pretty much talking about how he's gonna like hook up with her because he does that with all the.
He sat there. He's like, she's gonna get it, and she don't even know it yet. And I'm gonna be the one to give it to her.
Yikes! Yeah. And Robbie's kind of like, yeah, sure. You really think so?
He's like, you really make people second. Like he's like you really like to make people second guess their decisions.
Yeah.
Or like you like to make people regret stuff or something like that. And he's like, and you like to be the one to do it. And he's like, I do.
And lo and behold, the waitress that they're talking about is Drew Barrymore. So then you get a clip outside. So there were kids drinking at the wedding, although they shouldn't have been drinking. And Robbie is outside with one of them, helping them puke. And not get vomit all over themselves.
Once again, his friend is the long-haired guy in Little Nicky and Waterboy, the one that gets him drunk. I mean, he's in Big Daddy. We didn't talk about Big Daddy. That's another good one.
Yeah.
Big Daddy and so forth.
Yeah, so while he's out there, Julia comes out and he starts talking to Julia for the first time rather than just about Julia. And they're just being sweet to each other, and they're both about to get married, so they have that in common. Plus,
well, she's not. He's
waiting to get married.
No,
she's. I meant to say she. I know she is. She's waiting to get married. Well overdue, essentially. And
he's going to get married in 2 weeks or whatever. And
Robbie's about to get married on top of being a wedding singer.
Yeah, and then this is kind of like a little banter between them because obviously like she's having a hard time at it being her first week and whatever, and he's just kind of like listen here, you're helping people out, you're doing a great job, keep it up, you'll get the hang of it, and it's a real sweet first interaction.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is this is the first movie that Adam Sandler is like a sweet, lovable guy.
Yeah.
All the other movies, he's not. He's either obnoxious or kind of an a-hole.
Yeah.
Or like not a psychopath, but just extremely angry.
Yeah.
This is first like, oh, I like Robbie's character.
Mm-hmm.
And that's once again, I said, like, I like this movie. I like the character he portrays. And it is very happy and loving feeling. And like I said, it's very rewatchable because it's very enjoyable.
Yeah. And then you also see, then we switch over to Robbie also teaches piano lessons, or at least to a very old lady.
Old lady named Rosie. He's teaching her how to play piano because she wants to
sing at her anniversary to her husband to prove her love to him, which is so stinking sweet. However, he gets up to leave because he's got to go. And she's like, oh, don't forget your payment. And
it's sweet. It's so sweet because she always says, she goes, I can't believe you. I can't believe you're allowing payment in meatballs and you don't want to take any money.
Yeah, but this time she doesn't have any Tupperware. So the most cringiest part in the world happens. And she puts 2 giant meatballs in Robbie's hands and then he has him take a bite and squishes them down into his hands.
Oh,
I know.
I can't. That little I don't like getting messy, and all I think of the cleanup of after just having.
I just don't like the idea of the feeling.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't care about the mess, but the feeling of it, the thought of it, is rough.
But after this scene, we're cutting to a couple of days, and now it's the wedding day. The one, so Robbie has already brought up that he's getting married to a lady named Linda, which is funny because every time we hear the word Linda, me and Becca always look at each other like, "Are you Linda?"
Yeah.
So am I?
I have an Aunt Linda, and our little guy once was running around the pool, and we were having a family day at the pool. Yeah, and she has a lawn chair that says Linda on the back of it, and he was like,
what's that say? What's that
asking us what it said. And then he was running around and he's like, are you Linda? Are you Linda? Pointing at everybody, are you Linda? And it was just a funny moment. So now that's just engraved in our heads.
It's funny because he's wearing his jumper and he's just got this big peanut belly.
Well, yeah, he's got a big peanut belly. His arms are like T-Rex arms because he has his swimmy on. And no one's admitting that they're Linda because I think she had went inside and he was.
She wasn't even there.
Oh, I thought she was there.
No, it's when my parents were there. Because he went to Katie. Remember, he went to Katie. He's like, are you Linda?
Oh, yeah.
She's like, no.
And he eventually found out who Linda is and knows who she is now. But, yeah.
I don't know. That's a little inside joke.
It's engraved in our minds. But So, unfortunately, at Robbie's wedding, he realizes that his bride is not going to show up.
Before this too, we also get a little funny scene with Julie and her mom in the car.
Yeah, because they're going to the wedding, and
yeah.
Her mom points out, like, look at that girl. She's getting married. You're so much prettier than her. You can get married. And Julia's like, what does being pretty have anything to do with getting married? And her mom's like, it has everything to do with getting married. And she's kind of like, okay, Mom, whatever.
And she goes, well, have you ever thought about faking a pregnancy for the wedding? She's like, no, Mom.
Yeah, ridiculous. People that do that are crazy. Yeah, I was very hooked on that. I'm like, when people fake that, you can only go so far, and you're gonna get found out. It's like it's not even a good lie, because it's gonna come out that it's not true. Find a better lie that lives easier, longer, whichever. So Robbie's been waiting to get married pretty much like since the 3rd grade. Unfortunately, his parents had passed. And he's just really upset about this, and he's convinced like he's just never going to find love. Love's not for him. It puts him in a huge slump.
Yeah, and this is where we get the little cute little scenes of his nephew showing him the drawing he drew of Linda, where she's like the devil.
Yeah.
And then, he's like, all right, Freddy Krueger, run away, whatever. And this is where you get the Freddy Krueger mask I brought up earlier. And he goes outside, and he's sitting there on the curb, and all of a sudden, here comes Linda, and she shows up, and she basically it's funny because she just lets him know, like, listen here, like, I had a,
I love the old you. I don't love this
I had a come to Jesus moment and realize that I am marrying a wedding singer, and that this life that I want to live is probably not going to be that if we get married.
Yeah.
Basically, you don't live up to my standards of what I expect to be at by now in life.
Yeah. But then she also like misses the old him and the tight pants and the rock star him.
And he's like, I got him in the closet. I can put him on. He's like, well,
but not only that, then he's like, you don't think you could have told me this a day ago?
No, he's like things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday.
Yeah.
He says it first. It's funny because he says it first, and then at the very beginning,
keeps going. Yeah.
And then later she says something even more hurtful, and then that's what he screams it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just funny. And then also his nephew runs up and is like,
hey, Linda,
you're a bitch. And because obviously kids just soak up whatever you say around them. So tread lightly, people.
Oh, I've had that happen.
And so obviously Linda leaves and Robbie's left at home. And while that's unfolding, unfortunately, like I said, that puts Robbie in a really deep slump. However, Julia / Glenn, they are getting their happily ever after, essentially. And they set out a date, and they agree to have like actual wedding, even though Glenn wanted to do Las Vegas.
He wanted to elope to Las Vegas, and he said it's the romance capital of the world, which is not true whatsoever.
I mean, people think it is. People get married in Las Vegas all the time. And Julia convinces him otherwise, and he kind of feels like he owes it to Julia because he sucks. So Julia's going to get this big wedding that she always wanted, essentially.
And mind you, we don't know how much Glenn sucks yet, but we're going to find out.
I mean, immediately based off him wanting to like run off to Las Vegas and elope after they've been together
but it
for
gets
years.
worse.
Yeah,
it gets worse.
It gets worse. I'm not saying that. Then you get a funny scene where Sammy's just trying to be a supportive friend to Robbie. So he goes to Robbie's house and he's trying to pull him out of a slump. But Robbie's in bed like we all do after a breakup. He just lay in bed and do nothing.
And mind you, Robbie lives in his sister's basement, which was one of the things that Linda brought up, that she didn't want to live in her sister's basement.
Yeah. But Sammy climbs in bed with Robbie and is like being the big spoon and like all cuddled up with him under the blanket and stuff, and compliments how good smelling his sheets are. And
how soft they are.
Yeah, he's like, what do you use? And making conversation. Robbie's not only curled up in bed, but he's listening to The Cure. He's just like full breakup mode. We've all been there. But Sammy convinces him, go back to work, get back out there. You know, you can't do this forever. Just being like a really good friend. I will say throughout Sammy is like a really good friend.
No, he is.
To
No,
Robbie.
yeah. Their friendship is nice. I like it.
It feels like a real life
Once
friendship.
again, this is why this movie's rewatchable. You like the characters.
Well, I also think that's what you get when you cast the same people over and over again. You get a deeper relationship with them, so then your acting, I feel like, is enhanced by that.
Yeah.
The connection you feel with them.
Yeah, and almost like when you watch Adam Sandler act, there's parts in this movie where the acting that he's doing seemed very almost like a real interaction with the said actor.
Yeah.
Instead of it being an acting
times
session.
Like where he'll like be not necessarily in this movie, but in some of the Adam Sandler movies, he'll like break character, and you can tell like it's a genuine laugh.
It's a real. He does a smile and a laugh, which is like not part of the character, but it seems like a real way someone would react during a conversation.
It fits in, but you can tell where he breaks it for a moment.
Yeah. No. And then that's one thing I do like about Adam Sandler when it comes to these kind of roles. I do like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Robbie ends up going back to work. Sammy ends up,
which was a horrible idea.
Which was a horrible idea. He basically he breaks down while singing Madonna's Holiday. And there's that one part where he's just like he's singing the song, and then all of a sudden he's like, I live in my sister's basement.
Yeah.
Which we didn't bring it up earlier, but I want to talk about it. Adam Sandler low key can sing good.
Yeah.
He actually really, there's another scene I want to talk about when we get to it, but he actually can sing good. Yes, on Saturday Night Live, he would always sing songs and they would be silly, but like deep down, he literally can sing.
Mm-hmm.
He throws this funny twist on it, but underneath that funniness, if he wanted to actually be I think a singer and a band, I'll talk about it when we get to the breakup song, but when we get to the breakup song like that, I'm gonna save it. I'll talk about that. Okay. But anyway, I mean, I really think, I don't know. I just really think he actually has good vocals. Obviously he's an actor and stuff like that, and he's a comedian first, then actor. But yeah, I just want to bring that up.
He does obviously like to sing. Yeah, I feel like in almost every movie he's singing.
He had comedy albums had songs on them.
They play around Christmas time. They play the one on 98 Rock.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about even his legit, like even before then, like he actually had.
I was just saying in general, he has a song on the radio.
But
talk about what happens when he goes back to work.
Yeah, but yeah, he there's a one conversation where they're like, he just had his heart broken. Why in the world would he come back to work? And Sammy's like, I have no idea. It's like, you're the dude that convinced him to go back to work.
But that is like a true friend where you regret what you told your friend to do, and you're like, I don't know why they did it. I don't know. And
then this is another thing. So after he breaks down, let's call it, he goes into singing Love Stinks, and he gets an argument with the dad. He's like, listen here, buddy, I'm not paying you to sit here hear your life story.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I have the microphone, and you'll listen to every damn word I have to say.
Yeah.
Oh, these are the little things that when you think about the movie, these are the scenes that you recall.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, yeah, that is funny. Even though you've seen it like 20, 30 times, it still kind of makes you chuckle.
Yeah.
And then, so, unfortunately, he's not doing well. He ends up getting a fight with the dad, and dad punches him.
Oh, yeah. Full brawl breaks out, and he ends up in the dumpster out back trying to hide, I guess, while the cops are taking everybody's story because the cops were called because it was a huge brawl. And Julia goes out and talks to him while he's laying in the dumpster. And he asks, is everybody gone? And Julia's like, just a few left that the cops are taking their statements from. Yeah. And he's like, okay. So then Julia tries to cheer him up and, make him feel better about everything that he's going through. And he doesn't really want to hear it. And at the end, Julia's like, well, me and Glenn would really like you to be at our wedding and be our singer. And we hope you are at the engagement party. We'd love to have you there. And Robbie's just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
Love sucks.
Yeah.
Love stinks.
But cut to a couple days later, he actually he does end up going to the engagement party with Sammy. And then it's freaking Sammy is wearing I think it's a beat. I think it's the Beat It jacket. I can't remember, but he's definitely wearing a Mike Jackson themed jacket, and he's wearing the glove on his hand. And he's like, "Oh, what do you think about the jacket?" He goes, "I'd lose that glove if I were you."
Yeah.
And then that's another thing. This house, this mansion like style house,
Oh,
very 80s, very very 80s. But this scene is funny because we get some jokes about like where like Glenn's basically just dressed up just like Don Johnson from Miami Vice, and Holly rips into him. Then Glenn's friend comes up, puts his foot in his mouth, and his friend is Steve Brill, which is the director from Heavyweights. He directed Little Nicky. He directed Mr. Deeds. He directed The Do-Over. He directed Sandy Waxler, I believe it was, and then he also directed Hubie Halloween.
Yeah. They're all intertwined.
But yeah, he's sitting there, he's like, he goes, "Oh man, you're the wedding singer. I heard your wife dumped you on the day of your wedding. That must suck." And he's like, he goes, "Yeah, my parents also died when I was in the 3rd grade. You want to talk about that too?" He's like, "Why would I want to talk about that?" He goes, "I don't know."
Yeah, I don't know why you want to talk about the first one either. Yeah, so then essentially Robbie also tells Julia the things that Sammy said about her when she first started working, just kind of like just to rag on Sammy.
Yeah. He's like, "I didn't say that." He goes, "Yes, you did. You said you were going to give it to her, and she didn't know it yet."
And Julia's kind of like, "Okay."
She's like, "What are you going to give me, Sammy?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, y'all shut up."
Yeah. Then you get the bar mitzvah, and this is where Julia asks for Robbie's help.
Yeah, because Robbie
in planning the wedding.
He's not doing weddings anymore, but he's still going to do
events, but just no weddings. He's anti-wedding. Which Julia is like, "Okay, that's fine, but will you help me plan my wedding? Like, I could really use your help, and you probably, you know your way around these things."
Which is, that's a very nice little scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, they go off, and he's basically going to kind of be her, like, wedding coordinator, I guess.
Yeah, and help her find a band, all that kind of stuff, since he can't be the band anymore.
So, so we get like a almost like booking wedding montage.
Yeah.
We get to see her go do the tryouts for her wedding singer.
Yeah.
Which is Jimmy Moore, which is John Lovitz.
Yeah.
And it's John Lovitz. And the thing is, this is this movie. There's a callback to this movie in Little Nicky. With the way that John Lovitz acts and so forth, which is funny because he's Jimmy Moore, and he's, I guess, Robbie was the number 1 wedding singer in town.
Yeah.
And then he was like the second or whatever. And it's funny because he he basically is this very cocky, arrogant.
Oh yeah, very
man.
Sexual.
Yeah.
Like
he's very.
It's like, well, you're you can't find anybody that their hips move like this.
Yeah, or he's like, he goes, "I'm Jimmy Moore. That is no sock in my crotch."
Yeah. Oh God.
But it's funny. So he's like, "Hey, thank you. By the way, ever since Linda dumped you, my business has tripled, or should I thank Linda?" And she's like, and then Julie goes, "Well, I just decided to go with a DJ instead of a band, so thank you."
Yeah.
But this is the scene I wanted to talk about earlier. This is the scene where now we get his like breakup song that he wrote.
Yeah.
And this scene, I don't know if it was done. Who wrote it? I don't know if
this could go in so many directions.
I don't know if Adam Sandler wrote this little song or whatever. But if you listen to the song itself, if you actually listen to that, I can't play the audio because I don't want to get flagged because I would like to do a comparison. So, and y'all would know what I'm talking about. But listen to this song. Also, go listen to Reckless Eric's The Whole Wild World song. I'll go the whole wild world. I'll go the whole wild world just to find a... Listen to these songs. It's the same, not the same lyrics, but that music, it is the same.
The beat.
It's the same beat.
The pattern, yeah.
It's the exact same beat. But the song is low-key a banger.
Yeah.
It's great. And the thing is, Adam Sandler, he has vocals. He's got the range. And if he wanted, like, if anyone who's like a spoken word kind of music person, like what is it? Me Without You. They were a spoken word like punk rock band or whatever. Or La Dispute. What is it?
La Dispute.
La Dispute. Spoken word style. Adam Sandler, 100%. Give him money and put out like a real good band with it, and he could put out a freaking awesome album.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it is low key great. He's got a good scream.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a good yell scream, and I love nothing more than a yell scream, like brand new.
Yeah.
And not a scream, a
Brand
yell scream. And that's where you hear the pop and the cracking of the vocals, and it's just like the passion in it. What? This is 1998.
Yeah.
So this is probably like my first introduction to like Scream.
Yeah.
I liked this song so much when I was little. You know, like 3-4 years later, I started listening to new metal and stuff like that, and really getting into Scream music. Music that involves screamings and stuff like that. Now, you know, me like, being in like metalcore and you know, anything with synthesizers in it, whatever. But
in all the directions that this could have gone, I thought Logan. I'll just put it out there. I'll air out the dirty laundry because that's my job.
What?
Not dirty laundry, but
where are you going?
The embarrassing moments. So Logan has also been known to, like, younger version of Logan make playlists or like CDs, which people have done that. I thought that's the direction you were gonna go in.
I am low key. Like I'm not. One thing I will say, I can find the music for the mood. I come up with playlists that are great. Our Halloween party playlist was great. I came up with our wedding playlist, and everyone.
No, we both sat down and did that.
I picked out songs and asked you if it was okay to use it.
Yeah, and then I picked out songs and put on it too. So we made a playlist.
I made a playlist that was 4 hours long.
He's gassing it up here.
I'm just saying. But the thing is, what did we get the most compliments out at the movie? I mean, everyone said it was beautiful, but everyone was like, oh, the music choices are good.
Oh, no one said that to me.
Oh, they all said to me. They were like, what Spotify channel is this? I'm like, no, I made this.
I didn't hear anyone ask what Spotify channel it was. I have a side job on knocking people down a few notches.
She loves to. She loves to do it. I think it's her hobby. She's like, you're up here. You deserve to be down here.
No, you do pick good songs, but also he's an aux hog. Like, you just don't want to give it up. It's so annoying. Ugh. But yeah, I thought Logan was going to tell you guys about how he made a playlist for a girlfriend when he was younger, because I've heard that story. I thought that was going to be funny. We've all done things. But yeah, so, well, Logan will be happy to make anyone's wedding playlist if you want one. He thinks very highly of himself. He has left himself a 5-star review. Okay. So if you're looking for 6 hours of music, hit Logan up. He's got you. There you go. There's your commercial. It's the one you never asked for. Anyways.
Why do you do this to me?
Because. Who else am I going to do? No one's been a sucker enough to commit to it 24/7. It's what you get. It's a gift.
It keeps on giving.
Yep. Pretty much.
Oh, my hernia.
All right, old man. But yeah, so we get a glimpse of the song, and then Julie talks about Linda to Robbie while they go and get ice cream, essentially. So they're just being a good support system for each other.
And we find out Linda was actually low-key not the girl for Robbie.
Yeah. And you also this is the turning point where you start to, I feel like the turning point was him agreeing to help plan the wedding, because that was kind of a little odd. But this is where you're like, oh, they definitely they like each other, obviously.
Yeah.
And you got hints of it in their their conversations on the back stoop of the event venue that she was a waitress at. But now you're like, okay, they're definitely they're into each other. They're definitely into each other. Her wheels are turning about not marrying Glenn.
Yeah, it's definitely once it gets into the full-blown montage and we go through all the little things of the cake eating, the dress drying.
It's almost like they're getting married, and you get a scene where someone makes a joke about that.
Yeah, and then we get to the point where we get the test run kiss.
Yeah.
That scene is really when it's like, oh,
fired off.
There was something behind that kiss. Anyway, if you want to talk about that real quick, about the kiss scene. Yeah,
so Holly is talking to Julia while Robbie's over about what kind of kiss they're going to do at the aisle, her and Glenn. Like, are you going to do a soft kiss? Are you going to do a tongue kiss? Are you going to do a peck? And she's like, well, like a little soft, but with a little bit of tongue. So Holly's like, okay, well, let's try it out. Let's see it. And at first, Julia's like, well, I'm not going to kiss you. Like, you mean to try it out on you?
Oh, yeah.
And
she leans in to kiss her. He's like,
yeah,
no.
no. And she's like, try it out on him. Why not him? So Julia tries it out and shows Holly the kiss on Robbie. And that kind of like stuns Robbie, and Glenn comes in, and Robbie immediately is like, I kissed her. It didn't mean anything. Bye.
Yeah.
And just like leaves.
He's like, who'd he kiss? And then Holly's like, me.
Yeah. And then you get a little bit of girl talk afterwards where Julia, she kind of doesn't really say much, but Holly is like, I really like him. Like, do you care if I take him out on a date?
And the cool thing is this, and when they kiss, you hear a orchestrated version of Growing Old With You, which is the song at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Like when you watch, go throughout rewatch the movie and you've seen it multiple, I'm like, oh, that little, I'm not gonna try to hum it. But that's a cool little part, a little nick that I made note of. I was like, oh, that's sweet.
So they end up agreeing to go on a double date. So Julia can take Robbie out on a date, and, then Glenn and Julia, or not Julia, Holly can keep mixing them up. Holly can take Robbie out on a date, and also Glenn and Julia will join them. Yeah.
Before this, though, so there's a deleted scene that I don't know why they took it out of the movie. And but there's a scene where, so Robbie goes, it's another scene with Rosie, and he's helping her work out. And she's working on this really old, like 80s style, like multi-gym machine.
Yeah.
She's doing military presses or whatever. Yeah. And she's like, how earlier she brought up, he's like, are you embarrassed about, is this when he was getting married? Is it the first time you're going to have intercourse or whatever? So we get another scene like that. If you haven't seen the deleted footage, deleted scene, go check it out on YouTube. It's very funny. But she sat there, she goes, are you scared to show a new girl your penis, Robbie? He's like, what? Why are you talking about? It's okay if you are. I remember when you were a little boy, I've seen your penis. And she was like, why are we talking about this? Yeah. And it's funny. She goes, it's okay. It's like, are you worried it's too small? She's like, I'm not worried about my penis at all, and I don't think we should be talking about this. Yeah. And she's like, okay, that's fine. How about this? How about you practice asking me out on a date? And he's like, okay. And she gets all proper up. She's like sitting next to him. She's like looking at him like that. And he's like, would you mind going out to dinner with me? And she goes, no, your penis is too small.
Oh my God, that's so.
I thought it was really funny. But anyway, it's funny. So this is actually the scene where Julia actually walks up to him and asks if they want to go on a date.
Yeah.
That scene's completely cut from like, if you watch this on Hulu or streaming, that scene's not in it.
Yeah. Well, you can take us through the double date.
But so then they go into the double date, and this is another scene where we're getting more. We've already got some scenes of Glenn being just kind of a dick the way he talks to Julia, what about the whole CD player scene? He's like, it plays CDs, not records. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then so we get basically Robbie and them, and you can just tell Robbie and Holly are not really clicking.
Yeah.
Holly just kind of like wants to be with Robbie, and then you can kind of tell like Julia doesn't really want the double date, but she can't say no because she's marrying Lynch. So she can't be like, don't date Robbie because I want to date Robbie. She can't do that. You know what I mean? But that's what she kind of wants.
Yeah. So ultimately, unfortunately, Julia gets a little too drunk. So her and Holly run off to the bathroom together. And in this moment, Glenn and Robbie are talking, and Glenn makes some commentary about a waitress, and Robbie kind of weasels it out of him, finagles it out of him that Glenn cheats all the time, and Glenn's going to keep cheating even after they get married, because you could tell Robbie gave him a chance to be like, no, once we're married, it stops. But Robbie asked, like, yeah, but you got to stop, your time's running up. You guys are about to be married.
You're too old for doing that. He's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you're about to be married. And he's like, no, Julia's so busy. It'll be fine.
She's so oblivious. He goes, I work in the city and I work long hours.
Yeah. She won't know the difference. So Robbie, you can tell, like, is like, okay, mental note, like, this guy does just, like, suck.
Yeah. And then but they end up having to leave because Julie gets too drunk.
Yeah.
And then so Robbie helps her to Glenn's car, which is a freaking DeLorean.
Yeah.
and it's so, this is another thing, is he's so inconsiderate. She is drunk.
Yeah.
And he's blaring the music in his car
Yeah.
while she gets into
Well, he's
it.
also like, don't throw up in here. It's going to smell for weeks. Now, I will say, nobody wants to throw up in their car, but
you would at least turn the radio off. She's
and
drunk.
open the
She doesn't
window.
need the loud noises and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Well, I don't know. I don't even know if DeLoreans the windows could go down or not. I don't know. Because they have suicide doors.
Well, yeah, I know.
I
mean, they still have electronics. The windows should still go down.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just talking off cuff. I didn't research that.
I'm not sure. I would think they do.
But yeah, so basically, Holly and Robbie make their way back, and she basically just tells Robbie, like, listen here, Robbie.
I'll make this real easy on you.
Yeah, if you go up there, you're probably going to have sex. And he was just kind of like not really into it because he likes Julia, and he doesn't want to say it out loud, but she is the one who's like,
you see a light bulb turn on. She's like, oh, how did I miss this?
Yeah.
I should have known. You like Julia. And he's like, I don't like Julia.
But that's when she misinforms him.
Yeah, she tells him that Julia's marrying Glenn because financial security. He is something. He already is something. She doesn't have to wait for him to become something. And that's, that's comforting to know for your future.
Yeah.
And Robbie's like, well, that doesn't matter and to anybody.
And that's when Holly's like,
it matters to everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody cares about that,
yeah.
Robbie. So this causes Robbie to quit Rosie because that's not a real job with real money. And he's going to go find a corporate job with money. So he takes himself down to the city and starts doing interviews to make money, to have a real
he goes
job.
Talks to Kevin Nealon at the bank, and he's like, sir, he's like, I like money. I have some of it. It's a little bit. I keep it in a jar above my dresser, and that's where you come in because I like to add more to that jar.
Yeah. It's a good pitch.
And then he basically kicks him out of the bank. He's like, can you at least give me a business card? I'm just trying to get this job to impress someone. He's like, get out.
Yeah. And so while that's happening, Julia's looking for him. She asks Rosie. Rosie tells her that he's gone downtown looking for a job. And the thing is, I think Julia is trying to hunt him down because she wants to give him a gift.
Yes. She went out and got a personalized music notes music note papers.
Yeah.
Or music note sheets.
Yeah.
For writing music because he was talking about how he really wants to be a writer. And she was like, okay, well, this will kind of get the ball rolling. Maybe get him to start writing again with his own personalized, sheets. And he basically just makes an ass out of himself because he's low-key pissed off. Like, you're just marrying Glenn because, he's got money, which in theory, like, he didn't really have the right just to start acting like that. He was misinformed, but like, y'all, like, you can't just be mad at someone because it's kind of like I'm mad at you because you like somebody else, like little kids would do and so forth.
Yeah.
But anywho, he gets mad and, kind of as a dick to her, and she's just broken, and then she throws his sheet music in the air. And then he gets really upset about that, and he goes down a downward spiral of going to the bar, getting drunk, and everyone's been looking for him. Sammy finally finds him at the bar, and he's like, what's going on, man? He's like, that's it. I'm just going to be single. I'm going to start hitting on women. That's it. This is my life.
Yeah, I'm going to be like you, Sammy. You got it all, and you're happy. And Sammy breaks to him. He's like, Robbie, I'm not happy. I'm sad. I want to lay down with the same person every night. I want to have my person. I want to be in love. This isn't fun. I don't like this.
Yeah. And it's basically like, this what you think
he's like, if you really love her, you need to go figure this out.
Yeah. And so they end up leaving the bar and excuse me.
They run into Glenn.
With Glenn
women.
With a fucking girl. This is his bachelor party, literally the day before he's about to get married, and he's freaking hooking up with another girl.
Yeah, and he's pretty much like tells Robbie to like keep your nose out of it. Shut up and keep your nose out of it. And
you want to tattle on me?
Yeah, Robbie gets ready to fight him, but one of Robbie's bar buddies, a drunk old man, goes to punch Glenn, and that causes a hiccup because then everybody's like, what are you doing? Why did
he's
you
like, when
do
I
that?
was younger, I was a lot stronger.
Yeah. And Glenn sucker punches Robbie and goes about his way, essentially, whatever. And this causes Robbie just to continue on his spiral, to continue to get drunk. And Robbie makes his way home, where he then runs into Linda.
Yeah, and then Linda shows up, and he's drunk. Obviously, nothing's going to happen.
She's abusing it.
Yeah, and she basically takes advantage of him. I don't think they didn't do anything.
No,
she literally
but
just takes him.
She just is like, well, we'll get back together. I'm sorry, Linda's back. Everybody, everything's gonna be okay. And she stays the night, even though that's not really what he wanted. But he was too drunk to say that's not what he wanted. Around in circles. And unfortunately, Julia comes back the next day. And Linda answers the door in Robbie's Van Halen shirt and underwear. And Linda announces herself as Robbie's fiance.
Yeah.
And Julia's kind of like, well, can you just tell him I stopped by? And she's like, sure, Jessica, or whatever. Calls her by the wrong name and shuts the door. So now Julia's like, I'm running off and getting married today. I'm not going to wait for my wedding tomorrow. I'm going to convince Glenn to jump on a plane and we're going to Las Vegas and we're going to get eloped.
Yeah. And then at the same time that this is going on, Robbie finally wakes up and sees what's happened. And he's basically like, what are you doing?
Yeah, get out of here. Give me my shirt back before you make the band break up.
Yeah, which they literally broke up.
Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, so like it's ridiculous because like, he unfortunately, it's like one of those misunfortunate events that happen that also this happens, therefore this happens, and so forth.
Yeah.
So he's just erratic. He's like, no. He finds out. He goes to Holly and them's place, and he finds out, no, they're eloping, and they're going to the airport now. And he's like, I can't do this. She's marrying the wrong guy. I can't let her marry him.
Yeah.
So he goes after her. And they make their way to, the airport. He begs Sammy if he could pay for the tickets. He does. He ends up getting first class. And they just so happen to get on the same plane that Julie's on.
And Billy Idol.
Not
the guy from...
Yeah. Not the guy from Little Nicky or The Replacements.
Yeah.
But yeah, so so fast forward, he's on the plane and he's telling his cute little story. He's
about trying to chase down Julia because it's his true love. And while that's going on, one of the flight attendants comes up and she's like, some guy just asked me to join the Mile High Club and said I was A1 piece of meat.
Yeah.
And that triggers a thought in Robbie's head because that's what he said at the bar.
Yeah.
On their double date. He's like, oh my God, guys, he's on the plane. This lowlife is on the plane. Julia's on the plane. So he peeks through the class dividers and sees Julia back there. So then Billy Idol and everybody are like, we'll help you get to her.
Yeah.
We'll help you sing her the song, which he wrote on the way to the airport. We'll help you get to her and we'll distract him. We'll stop him.
Yeah.
And so then their plan unfolds.
Yeah. And so he ends up making his way up there to coach because he's in first class, and he breaks out the classic Growing Old With You song, which is that song is great. That song is great.
And Billy Idol stops Robbie from interrupting along with the other people from first class. And
I remember the first time I heard that song, 98. So I was 10, I guess. Yeah. So I was 10, and I was like, I remember sitting there watching, like, crying. Because like, it's a beautiful song.
Change. But
it's okay if you're an adult and you like to cry.
Absolutely. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there really isn't. That
no, there's not. There's not.
The tone of my voice doesn't shift very often, so who knows if I'm joking.
I cry over everything.
I do too. Surprisingly for how mean I can be. I'm also very funny, but anyways. So Julia is in all about this. This is exactly what she wanted. She did want Robbie this whole time. Now they can be happily ever after, and they're going to go home and get the real wedding that Julia always wanted and Robbie wanted.
Yeah,
and they do that.
It's got a great little happy ending,
after.
And it's sweet. It's beautiful. Just overall, like, once again, come back into it. Full folds. This movie is great.
Yeah, we definitely say rewatch it.
Yeah, it's a definitely rewatch movie. Like, there's there's movies that I say this movie's good. And then there's movies that I say I like that movie. When I say I like a movie, I usually say I like it when the undertone is that it's not a good movie, but I like it. This movie is actually good.
Thank you for that key. That ledger to explain that to us. Either I like it or I don't like it, and I just keep it that simple. Black and white.
Yeah. But anyway, like, yeah, this was
a good one. And
yeah,
like
I'm
I
glad
said,
we got to revisit this one.
We'll probably continue on our own personal path of reviving different Adam Sandler movies.
Revisiting me?
Yeah, reviving them.
Oh.
Bringing them back to life. Watching them. Revisiting them, whichever. On our own time. But we did want to bring you The Wedding Singer on that journey.
Yeah,
we felt like it was worth it.
Yeah, I think like I said, I think this is his most underrated film. Where it comes to like people just always bring up Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison, and I think low key like Wedding Singer is never in that conversation. And I just think that's why I think it's kind of a low key. Like it was a successful film, but when people talk about great Adam Sandler movies, this one is really just overlooked.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's why I wanted us to do it, because I'm like, no, I think there's some talking that can be done with that movie, or there's some conversations that can be had.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, thank you for joining us.
Of course, yeah. So thank you guys for joining us for episode 24. I genuinely thought it was 27. Again, I'm just along for the ride. But we appreciate you guys listening. As always, please like, follow, leave us a review. If you enjoy watching or if you have anything you'd like to share. Yeah,
share, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, definitely hit the subscribe button and click the little bell icon so you get updates when we release a new episode.
Yes.
If there's, hey, in the comments, if there's movies that they're very nostalgic to you and you want us to talk about them so you can reminisce, throw in the comments. I read them.
Yeah. And here's my time to shine. You all have like one episode and then it is going to be Christmas galore. Don't,
No,
I'll do them by myself.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I literally walked down the stairs the other day. She was watching Elf, and it was like literally November 2nd. I was like, it's too early
and then
for
I was watching Christmas with the Cranks.
Yeah. Well, she was watching Christmas movies in October, guys.
That's because in August and September, I was watching all the Halloween movies. The thing is, with the times now, ever since COVID, and I know any of you would agree.
Oh, yeah, you're right about this.
Since COVID times, everything happens early. So if you don't jump on stuff early, such as buying your decorations, setting up, watching your movies, you miss a window. Not only that, but by watching them a month early, then you don't have to rent them. Because the moment October comes, the moment October comes, all these movies that were free, Halloween movies, now you have to rent. Because it's October.
It's true. Yeah, because like
that's why I'm watching my Christmas movies in November, because in December, I'm going to have to pay for them even though they were free.
Yeah, it's like...
you work the system, okay? I will rearrange my holidays to work the system.
Like, I like the Illuminations... the Grinch movie, the new one. I think it's very funny. It's very cute. I like it a lot. And I enjoy watching it. But I can guarantee you, it's now free.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, it's going to be $4.99 to rent.
Yes, and
next month, I guarantee
I will watch it a month early and act like it is the right time to not or just wait until after Christmas, and then watch it then. But the thing is, I'd rather watch it early than watch it late. So. Yes, my holidays are a little rearranged, and post-COVID, that's the only option.
Or you could be me and be like, well, I ain't going to rent a movie for $4.99. I'm just going to buy it on Amazon.
I mean, I could probably honestly find every movie I want to watch up here so far.
I think.
I've started to buy the movies I like, so we have hard copies of those, even though if it's not something you necessarily would put in your collection. But until then, because I'm also too lazy to get up and put something in the player, if I can just find it on TV, I will watch things ahead of time.
Yeah, I understand. Now that you said
COVID fucked it up. Okay. COVID fucked a lot of things up. That's just like I went to go buy Thanksgiving decorations, sold out. It's Christmas. Missed that. Should have bought those in August, September area. It's ridiculous. So yeah, that's why. I have a perfect explanation. I stand by it. And I will continue watching Christmas movies for the rest of this month and the rest of the next. And we'll bring them to you guys for our Christmas marathon starting in the beginning of December. But Thank you guys for joining us for this one, and we hope you guys have a good night. See ya.